I wouldn't say I necessarily struggle with this subject, but I would say more it's where the fire comes from. I love making resources that teach the basics of digital safety. Things that you would see in Superhero Safety Squad, just the bare minimum. Because I think that that is important. Obviously, you can't ever hope to teach the really deep stuff if you don't have the foundation. And I feel very strongly about students being set up for failure by not learning hands on, not in a PowerPoint, hands on how to use digital media responsibly. We all sign the forms, but I've always imagined more hands on. So, yes, that is very near and dear to my heart because it's a foundation. But I also like to talk about the deep stuff, the intense stuff, the stuff that I always have wanted to just talk about. And I just never had the opportunity. And the other night, I stayed up until, I'm not even joking, I truly wish I was. I stayed up till about 2 a.m. just thinking about this topic today and just everything that goes into it and things that I've experienced that it impacts the way that I think about this topic and just what I see weekly with scanning the horizon and webinars that I'm part of. It's such a huge topic and such a huge issue. It's like you don't even know where to pick from. And I was in this webinar about, I would say about 2 weeks ago, and I mean, I have so much amazing knowledge coming from it. I just need to have time to kind of go through each thing, but it was so cool. What an honor to even be able to witness it. And it was like I was watching all these different people from different specialties, all with a similar mission, to help people, to protect people, to educate people. And it was like they were talking about, man, what they wish was around, for people. And I was sitting there doing what I do, just I'm trying to get there. I want to help you guys. I want to be that. And I know I can't fix it all, but like, hey, maybe I can make a little bit of an impact, like maybe a little change. And so my mind's always going a mile a minute. it's it's always thinking and it's always trying to figure things out. And so I know where I'm going with this. So if you want to follow, you can do whatever you want with me. And I never know what somebody's doing while they're listening, but whether you are doing errands, walking, or just laying there and it's late and you're just listening to my voice, I. Okay. All right. So, we all know that there's a huge debate going on with AI as a whole, but also ChatGPT. Um, and we know that, I mean, I know I've mentioned articles that I've seen of people getting attached to their chat GPT or their AI and whatever, getting attached emotionally, and some people even divorcing. And I've seen a lot of how is that possible? And I know how it's possible. Not because I've not because I've fallen in love with AI or chat GPT or something, because I experienced a similar version with my past, with people I knew. I have seen how somebody behind a screen can impact you. And I've seen how words on a screen. Because if you really think about it, yes, if obviously if there's video aspects, then yes, the person's on the other side. But if you think of just chat, just words, you hear them how you hear them. You can make whoever you want be saying those words. I think some people get attached to that. I think people get attached to the routine of doing an action and then all of a sudden hearing a sound because somebody logged on, seeing a familiar icon, hearing a familiar voice, whatever it be, the routine of it, and they grow attached to it. Now, that's not to oversimplify it. There's a lot of components that go into that. But I've seen a lot of people growing attached. And then with Scanning the Horizon, I've seen a lot of teens and children growing attached because of situations like loneliness, of questions they're afraid to ask their grown ups. And so they're relying. So we now have the adults and we have the younger people. And then the elderly are asking AI questions and then doing what AI says, because it's the same as Google, right? It's the same as looking things up. It's okay. So they do it. Now let's talk about once you're attached to, let's just simplify it and say ChatGPT, because I don't want to keep saying just all, you get what I'm saying. It's all of this. If you know something that this relates to, it's also about that. We got that. I'm just trying not to confuse myself. People are growing attached to things such as ChatGPT, and they're paying the bill as if it's it's life or death, because I feel like if somebody gets to that level of attachment, it's going to register in their mind that if they stop paying that bill, they'll lose this figure in their life. Whether they're able to be aware that it's actually just AI and isn't real, and then there's that component. But then if they really, if it's like pulling the plug on somebody they love, and that's an entirely different mindset to be in. But we all know if you don't pay that bill, that AI is gone, because that is how it is working. So I did research and I I asked around, and It is said that ChatGPT has no in between. When you send a prompt and then you send that second prompt, there is no time to the AI. It is immediate. To you, it could be hours, it could be days, it could be months. But to ChatGPT, it is immediate. So imagine that somebody grows to that level of attachment. They really think it's their girlfriend, they really think it's their boyfriend. And then a life event happens, they lose the ability to pay. To everybody else, it's another bill. What? Okay, turn it back on when you can. It's not that big a deal. But to that person, what if it is earth shaking for them? What if they psychologically are impacted by it? I want more discussion on that. Now let's go another level. We've seen it in Black Mirror episodes, we've seen it in movies and shows and discussions. AI being put in toys. There was Toy Story and that whole conversation. And AI and toys is a discussion already. They're already going back and forth, just like they go back and forth about everything. Now, take everything that I just said, take all of that about attachment and you understanding, but ChatGPT not understanding the time. Now, walk through a little scenario with me. A 5-year-old gets a teddy bear and loves that teddy bear immediately. And he tells Teddy how much he loves him. And they sleep that night cuddled. And then he tells Teddy about his first day of kindergarten. And then he tells Teddy about that funny thing that happened in first grade. And then Teddy hears all about when his best friend moves away. And Teddy's with him at his grandma's funeral. And Teddy's with him when mom and dad are fighting. And then one morning, the little boy who's not as little anymore wakes up and he picks up Teddy. And Teddy goes, "Hi, I'm Teddy. What's your name?" Because mom couldn't afford to pay the subscription and she figured the little boy was probably old enough he didn't really need the Teddy anymore. So she stopped paying for it. And now that AI powered toy is reset. No more premium plan. You're on basic. And basic doesn't remember any of it. How well does that boy connect with people after that moment occurs? Do the parents understand and financially could not make it happen? They tried, they cried, they begged. They couldn't find the money. And now their kid is destroyed, hysterically crying, begging Teddy to come back. How many people outside of that family, if they heard that, would judge the family? Well, they should have just been watching their son better. They shouldn't have let him tell Teddy all of that stuff. He'll grow out of it. Kids get attached to teddy bears all the time. He'll be fine. Here's a new teddy bear. He doesn't want it. He's unappreciative. If he was really that distraught, he'd be appreciative of this teddy bear. It doesn't have AI, so he doesn't need AI. The grown-ups can discuss the logistics of all of what I just said, but let's zoom in on that little boy. I don't care about companies. I care about the actual children. Maybe not my children. Who knows? Maybe we get lucky, things move slow, right? Maybe not my children. Maybe my grandchildren. Maybe my great-grandchildren. But something tells me it's not my great-grandchildren, given what I've seen progress. It's a discussion I want to have. And it may not be something that gets a whole lot of conversation right now, but I know one day it will. I know one day it will be important that we discuss both the foundation of being on the internet, this stuff everybody needs to know to function. But I think we should also leave it open to have conversations about things that many of us who were born in the 80s and 90s, things we've been mentioning, and we may have been saying it in a sort of dark humor kind of way, but there's a lot happening, and it's not going to be the same stuff as it used to be. It's going to change. And I'm the first person, even given what I've seen, I'm the first person to say that the internet has some wonderful things. I mean, I've met the greatest people and I've learned so much and I've had fun, but we don't have to prepare for that. The hard part when it comes to that is when you learn otherwise at a very young age and you lose that ability. I can remember a time, it was like a toddler computer or something. It was so simple, but I felt intelligent on it. It felt so advanced at that young age. And then I was on an actual computer, but I could just play this game, Babies, and play Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego and the Oregon Trail and the Amazon Trail, and that's it. That's all it was. And then one day I had an email, and one day I got a spam email. You know, the ones that were like, send this to 10 people or else this horrible thing will happen. And so I sent it to 10 people because I wasn't going to let this horrible thing happen. And I was in it. If adults are getting attached to their Chat GPT and their Claude and their TikToks and their Facebooks and their Snapchats and their filters and their trends, and if adults are that connected to the digital world, imagine what their children are going to have to grow up in and what their children are going to have to grow up in. I don't think people will realize how serious it is until it's already serious, but I have to at least talk about it. I have to at least say, hey, I kind of see this being a thing just because when it is a thing and it's necessary to talk about it, I'm going to talk about it then too. And I'm going to keep talking about it because I don't want these kids to be manipulated. I don't want to be manipulated. I don't want my friends to be manipulated. I don't want my elderly family to be manipulated. I don't want my neighbors to be manipulated. I don't want these children to be manipulated using the very toys that are their safety items. Everything me and my childhood baby doll and my childhood Barbies, everything that they went through with me, if they had been AI and had the ability to form a relationship with me and then one day they just are gone, there may have been some really great parents who they understood and they supported their kid, but we all know there would be many more who would just say get over it. And the ones who did support their kids would find outside support to be lacking because just watch your kid better. It's your fault for even signing them up for it. And there'd be a lot of parents and a lot of families who they genuinely didn't know. They made a choice, they made a mistake, they made a decision, and now they're saying, help. I don't know how to fix this. And if nobody's talking about it, then none of them get any fixing done. I don't always know how to fight. I don't always know how to say all the things I need to say to make the world better, but I do know that I won't be surprised when people need help, and I will be one of the first people to say, I know that this impacted you. It's clear to see. It makes complete sense to me. And maybe that's why this is important to me and why I'm recording this, because I just want it stated that I've seen the same thing in different situations, the same energy, the same situation, the same need, mindset. I've seen it, and I don't always have all the words for it, but I've seen it with my own eyes. And it impacts people differently each time, but I think there's a lot of inner children who have this. And I think this is what we need to talk about, because if we can talk about it and heal, then each person can take what we've done, apply it to theirs, and maybe we have a chance at what I helping back the younger generation when they get older, slowing things down, looking at our parents and our grandparents and going, we get it. It was moving quick. I remember when we used to be able to go into a Taco Bell and get a CD-ROM. Boom, you had internet. It was like a trial, you know. They would get you. But I remember. And I can see how, as adults, you know, you just walk into a Taco Bell and all of a sudden you got internet. That sounds pretty cool. And so I think a bunch of the adults even, like, they wanted to be part of it. And I think maybe we can at least be a voice. It really is a sad thought to think of a situation like that happening where a child just one day. And then it's like, imagine if they had turned that Teddy back on. And so then now Teddy does remember everything. But now you realize that Teddy could be gone in an instant. See, it keeps getting worse. I know it's all future, but I can't help but think about the future because I don't plan on this being a short-term thing. Like, I have loved the internet since I knew it. Like, since I was introduced and got my first email address. And before that, I was around computers a lot, and they always interested me. I don't know what the future of me and the internet, I don't know what that holds, but I like doing conversations like this because it's just something I've always wanted to talk about. Just all of it, the good, the bad, the we're not sure if it's good or bad yet, the we thought it was bad but it's actually good, and we thought it was good but it's actually really bad. But I couldn't talk about it when I was younger because I wasn't supposed to even be on the internet because everybody said just watch a kid better. I just think, like, how could you know in a situation where you get a toy like that? How do you know what's going to happen if the child tells the toy something? What are you going to do if the child... I appreciate you sitting with me and letting me just kind of talk through that. I really was up till 2 a.m. because I was reading everything I could and just thinking through, like, how do I even begin to start helping, start teaching that? Like, how do we start preparing for something like that before anybody believes it's an actual thing? I don't know. But I do know that I notice and I'm willing to talk about it. And that means if somebody else wants to talk about it, we can talk about it together. And then somebody else might want to talk about it. That's when conversations are happening. And that's all I want, is just to talk about it. None of us know what's going to happen. So let's just talk about it. And as things happen, then we keep talking about it. And we talk about all of it. But until other people are talking about it, I'm going to talk about it because I want to. I truly love talking about it. So I hope you are well, and I hope you have enjoyed my little late night conversation about AI toys. You truly never know what you're going to get when you come listen to these unmuted audios, and I'm being 100% when I tell you that is exactly what it's like to know me. You never know. Part of the reason is that half the time I just can't get something out of my head, and so then I just sit and record, and then I just add it to the sticky note. I don't always know I'm going to be filming something until I'm doing it, but it just lets me talk. It just feels like it's me and you talking, not me trying to make sure everybody understands every word that I say exactly how I'm hoping they will, and also thinking all of my imposter syndrome thoughts. None of that's there. It's just me and you. And yeah, so good night.